welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with my foundation routine video. I'm going to be showing you guys how I do my foundation, my concealer, bronzing, contouring a little bit, and also my blush and highlight. I wanted to do this video for you guys today because my foundation routine has changed a lot, and you guys have noticed because my skin just looks more flawless, it looks more airbrushed, and I think I have finally found a routine that works for me. A little bit of a background story on my skin. I have very textured skin with really large pores, and my skin is pretty dehydrated. That's why recently I have tried to ump my water intake because my skin is pretty dehydrated. I went ahead and picked up my hair. My hands are clean. My face is moisturized from this morning. You don't have to go ahead and use an extra moisturizer. You can if you want to. Just make sure that it's dry. I allow it like 20 minutes for it to sink in if you're just applying moisturizer now. The first thing that I do before I go in with foundation and primers is I go in with my Badesco Peptide Renewal Serum. I have been obsessed with this stuff. It has a lot of anti-aging benefits. It has vitamins, it has peptides. I love this stuff. So lately I've been going in with my beauty blender. I take about 4 drops of this. So I go in with about 4 to 5 drops, maybe 6 or 7. And then I go 1, 2, 3, 4. That is what I do. I kind of just stipple this in the areas of my face, and then I go in with my damp sponge. Make sure that your sponge is damp, and I'm just going to blend this into my skin. So now I'm going to go ahead and let this sink into my skin for about 5 to 10 minutes. During that time, I usually go use the restroom, I go drink water, I go get paper towels. If I forgot anything, I will go get it in that time. I will just wait the 10 minutes before you go in with something else. So after you have waited the 10 minutes, you want to go ahead and use your favorite primer. I have 2 that I want to show you guys. They are pretty much the same exact thing. This is the NYX Angel Veil Primer, and then this is a sample of the Hourglass Veil Primer. They're both very, very similar. I love them both. Sometimes I even prefer the one by NYX better. But today, since I'm going to be using an Hourglass foundation, I'm going to go ahead and use the Hourglass primer. I'm going to take about that much. I'm going to rub it in between my fingers. It's like a white consistency, and I'm going to apply this on the areas where I tend to have texture and I tend to have larger pores. After my primer is done, I like to let that sink in again for another 5 minutes. If you go in with your foundation after you apply primer, I feel like the foundation is a little bit more slippery. If you let that primer kind of set into the skin and kind of sink in, I feel like the foundation kind of adheres to it better, whether if the primer is still kind of wet and just on. I feel like it tends to be like a slippery slide situation, so I'd rather just let it like sink in and wait and then go in with foundation. So now the primer has been absorbed, we're going to move in right into foundation. Today I'm going to be using 2 foundations. Recently I have been loving to mix foundations in. First foundation is more for coverage, and then the second foundation will be for finish, like the finish of the foundation. If I want a dewy foundation or a matte foundation, then that's when I'll go in with the second foundation. Most days I only use one, but this is going to be my full-on glam, very full coverage foundation. So I definitely want to show you guys what I will do if I'm doing that type of makeup. So the first foundation that I've been obsessed with this foundation. I talked about it in my August favorites, and it's just been my go-to foundation. It is the Hourglass Vanish foundation. This is such a good foundation. It's definitely very full coverage. It has like a satin finish, and I love it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll the foundation up, and I'm going to begin to apply some stripes. So I first do one here, and then I'll do one here. So 3 stripes. I do a really big one, then a medium one, and then a small one. 1 on the chin. I do about 2 on the forehead, well, more like 4, down the bridge of the nose, a little bit up here, and then I will go in to certain areas where I'm a little bit more red, and I'll kind of like spot treat those areas with this foundation. Then I take any brush. You can use this one. This is by Hourglass. Something definitely that has a flat top. This one by Morphe is great too, the E54, because it's flat. You can take something like this. Let me show you guys. This is the Morphe E44. Again, it's fluffy, but it's flat. And anything that has a flat edge to it will be just fine. This is where we're gonna start to blend in your foundation. A lot of people just, at this point, they go on with their foundation brush or their beauty blender and they just begin to buff the foundation in and rub it back and forth, circular motion. You don't want to do that if you have texture or if you have large pores. Because if you do that, the foundation is never going to stick to your face. It's just going to be moving around. When you have large pores and when you have texture, you really want to push that product in. Push it, push it, push it, push it, push, 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 push. Because by pushing in the product, you're going to fill in those pores with product. Now, I do have to tell you guys a disclaimer. You need to make sure that you definitely 110% cleanse your face properly. You need to go in with the Clarisonic. You need to go in with a heavy duty cleanser to make sure that you get everything out of your pores, because this technique is you are putting and pushing stuff into your pores to seal them. It hasn't broken me out. I don't think it's gonna break you guys either, but that is a main key. So I begin to pat my product in and I begin to push it into my skin. My brush, I do not raise my brush. I do not move my brush from my face. I am not swirling my brush in my face. I am not buffing my foundation in. I am tapping my foundation in. I am gently doing small strokes, very small strokes, and I begin to tap the foundation in place. Once you get to your really large pores, you better squeeze that product in there. You better tap that in, and it's going to begin to conceal your pores. Once I get to my neck, I do buff it and blend it out, blend it down, because the neck doesn't really have a lot of pores and you can't really see them. So just like my ears, I just kind of, you know, buff that out. That is my cream foundation part. For a very full coverage, I then like to go in with a liquid foundation, something like the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. This foundation is a liquid. It's very liquidy and it's very thin in texture. And that's what you want to do. You first want to go in with a cream and then you go in with a liquid. You don't want to apply cream on top of cream on top of cream, because once you do that, then that's when your foundation tends to look very cakey, and that's not what we're going for. And then you want to go ahead and put a little bit on the back of your hand. I usually do about 2 pumps. That should be fine, more than enough. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my beauty blender. And I'm going to take the back of the beauty blender where we applied that oil, and I'm going to tap it into my foundation, tap it out on my hand a couple times, and then I'm going to begin to work on the lower portion of my face, and then we'll move in upwards. So I like to start by taking the foundation. I do about 3 dots, and then I begin to dab it in. Again, we are pushing product into the skin. We're not rubbing the foundation, we're not swiping, we're not lifting. We are just pushing, 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 pushing that product in. And then I will go in back with the brush and I'm going to push it in even more and blend it out. So after the foundation is done, I like to go ahead and move on to concealer. And again, I love to mix concealers. Lately, I have been mixing the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in 20 with the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in Fair. And I like to first go in with the one by Maybelline. First, start up here. I draw a line down my nose. And then I take it across. Okay, then I bring it down to meet the nostril. And then I just kind of fill it in. Now I go in with the Shape Tape Concealer and I only add about 3 dots because it is a very full coverage and it's a light concealer. I also add a little bit to the chin, a little bit on the Cupid's bow, down the bridge of the nose, and a little bit up in the forehead. Again, I'm going to take my beauty blender and I'm going to begin to blend this in. I am not lifting the product. I am not going to swipe the product. I'm just going to tap the product in. I start in the outer edges first and then I blend my way up. I make my way up. So begin out here. I always start out here, always. And then I kind of make my way up. I usually have a makeup wipe or a paper towel and I like to wipe off my beauty blender just because since I am removing product, I like to wipe the product off instead of reapplying it. Then I'm going to go in with some translucent powder. I'm going to be using the Laura Mercier translucent powder. I'm going to put some in the cap. And I'm going to take the Morphe M501. I'm going to put some of that powder in the brush and I'm going to make sure that everything is blended out and there is no creasing. And then I'm going to begin to bake the under eyes. Then with a beauty blender, I'm going to go ahead and apply some on my chin and up in the forehead. At this point, I will go ahead and really quickly fill in my brows just to kind of let that baking kind of just bake. So I'm going to really quickly fill in my brows. I will be doing an updated brow tutorial really soon for you guys. I mean, it hasn't changed too much, but it definitely has changed a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in my brows really quick. So now that my brows are kind of done, I really did them really quickly. I have to go do them so they don't look as perfect as I would like, but that's okay because this is not about brows, this is about my foundation routine. So I'm going to go in with the Airspun powder. This one is in translucent extra coverage and I really like this powder to bake my contour as well as to set the face because it's an amazing powder. It's really inexpensive and you get so much in here that it just lasts you forever. I like to use something more expensive like the Laura Mercier for under the eyes and the T-zone because I know it's going to last me a long time. I know it's not going to have any flashbacks, but to set the whole face and to just kind of cut that contour, any translucent powder will be just fine. I'm going to just get a really big brush. This is the Morphe E41. It's a huge powder brush. And I'm going to just dip it into that powder. I'm going to wipe off the excess because it's definitely a lot. And I'm going to pat this into my skin. Patting. I'm not swiping. I am patting into my skin. Then I'm going to set my foundation. And you don't want to use a lot. That's why I go ahead and I wipe it off. Like I tap it off. Because if you do a lot of powder, then that's when you can get really cakey and it will definitely show. So just a little bit of powder. And then for the forehead, you always have to go in and kind of just swipe it off. Because the forehead is not a big, don't really have a big forehead. Okay. For the under eyes, I go in with a more precise brush. This is the Sigma F35 and I go right under there and I swipe. And then I take it up just to set the concealer we also put in the eyes. Okay. I'm going to throw some bronzer on. This is the Makeup Forever Pro Fusion Bronzer in 35M. I'm going to take the Luxie Tapered Face Brush, the 520. Just swirl my brush in there and I'm just going to bronze my skin. Now I'm going to go in with contour. Bronzing and contouring are two completely different things. Bronzing is just to warm up the skin. Contouring is to define and bring, kind of hide some features of your face. So recently I have re-fallen in love with the Ofra Beverly Hills Contour Kit. I'm going to use the middle shade right here. I'm going to tap and I'm going to wipe off the excess. I'm using a MAC 109 brush. I'm going to kind of make a kissy face and I'm just going to focus this product mainly in the outer portion of my my cheekbone. So it just kind of adds a little bit of definition, nothing too crazy, just very subtle. And if you do go a little bit overboard, that's fine. Go back in with your bronzer brush and just kind of, buff it out and blend it out. Then I'm going to take some more of that and I'm going to apply it right here around the sides of my forehead, because I have a very small forehead, but it does come forward a little bit. So I like to just apply a little bit there just so that it can kind of, it makes the appearance that the forehead is pushed back. Then I'm going to go in with the flat side of my Real Techniques brush. This is my favorite sponge to cut out my contour because it has a flat edge. I'm going to make a kissy face and I'm just going to drag it out. For blush, I'm going to go in with the Jaclyn Hill Face Palette in collaboration with Becca. I'm going to take Rose Spritz with Amaretto. I'm going to mix the two together. And now, I have been doing my blush a little bit different also. I'm going to tap off the excess. Usually I would go in and I would begin to swipe and just kind of buff this out. I haven't been doing that, and it has made a huge difference in the way my blush applies because I feel like it shows up more. It also lasts a lot longer. So I smile. I tilt my brush to the side and I just press. Okay, you see how it's just pressed there? So I begin to press it in. Okay, so I'm pressing it in. It looks pretty intense. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. So I smile and I begin to press in. Okay, I go in with a clean brush and that's when I begin to blend it out. Now I'm going to go in with my big fluffy brush one more time and I'm going to dust the powder upwards so that I can kind of blend the whole face out. And this is going to even tone down that blush even more. And just looks how airbrushed that looks. Now we're going to go in with highlight. And today I'm going to be using the Ofra Beverly Hills Highlight. I have been obsessed with this highlight. I absolutely love it. I'm going to take my Sephora fan brush. I'm just going to swirl my brush in there and then I'm going to apply. If you have texture skin, highlight is going to be your worst enemy. Trust me, I know, I've been there. It sucks. It accentuates your texture. It's horrible, but I'm going to show you a trick to make it look better. So my brush is pretty loaded with highlight. The first thing you're going to do is you do not want to go in and start doing this really fast. Don't do that because you're going to disrupt everything that we have done. You're going to disrupt the concealer, the powder, and it's not going to look good. I first like to place it, literally place it. And then lightly, very lightly, I go back and forth. This highlight though, oh my god, I love this highlight. So I'm going to tap off my brush now and I'm going to begin to blend it out. Very lightly. This highlight is so pigmented, it's crazy. And then with whatever I have left in my brush, I'm going to begin to blend it up towards the arch of the brow. I'm going to just lightly tap my brush in there and I'm going to apply a little bit to my chin. And then with my finger, I'm going to take the champagne shade right here and I'm going to apply a little bit to the tip of the nose. That's a lot. I'm telling you, this highlight is so pigmented. And then down the bridge of the nose. I'm going to wipe it off because it's a lot. And then I'm going to go back in with that fan brush and just blend it out. So now, how do we make this less textury? Go back in with your damp sponge. If it's not damp anymore, go back into the faucet, squeeze it out some more under the water, and you should be fine to go. Fine to go? Good to go. So I'm going to take my sponge again. I went ahead and I made it wet again. I made it damp, and I'm just going to lightly run this over. So lightly, I begin to pat that in to the skin. And it just kind of blurs everything out. So that is pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of my face. I'm going to put on some lashes and do my lips, and then I'll be back to show you guys the finished result. Okay, you guys, so I am back, and this is the finished result. I went ahead and popped on some lashes and some lips The lips that I am wearing is the new Ofra Duochrome Liquid Lipstick in Vanish. It has become my favorite liquid lipstick to wear. It's so metallic, it's so pink, I love it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. It definitely is a very full coverage, very glowy foundation routine. I absolutely love it. It has been my go-to recently, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Today is also my birthday. I am turning 25. By the time this video goes up, it will be my 25th birthday, so I just want to thank you guys in advance for the birthday wishes and the well wishes. They truly mean so much to me. So yeah, I think I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching. I love you, and I'll be back very soon with another video. So until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye guys.